E3 2018. E3 has always been like the video game Super Bowl and definitely like one of the biggest events that I look forward to in the year. And so I do definitely want to record some reacts to this whole thing and to everything that goes on in it. And after all the press conferences that have gone on, I decided I'd sit down and just cover all of them real briefly. I'm not big enough of a channel to make this like an in-depth thing, so if you want more in-depth stuff, other people are doing that, more capable people. I'm just going to talk about the things that excited me most out of every single conference very briefly, and that means that I'm choosing one specific game or announcement that occurred during that event that made me more hyped or more excited than anything else in that event. That goes for everything except for the Devolver Digital Conference, the PC conference. I'm going for the main one, so this EA, Microsoft, Bethesda, you can argue that Square Enix is a main one, but I'll add that one in there. Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. All of them I'm going to talk about in order from when they actually had their conference and everything that went on into it. Now, like I said, E3 means a ton to me. It's like one of those things every year that I just like, I can't wait for, and it's actually even caused me to take the time off that I was going to be using to put together other videos and things for my channel. So I have another video coming up that's talking about my impressions on a game that I've been playing recently. But for now, let's just do some reacts here. This is JR Reacts. I am JR the Game Bard, and we're going to be talking about the things that happened at E3 at the press conferences specifically. Starting at the top with EA. Now, Electronic Arts is one of those developers or companies that people just love to hate, and they have a lot of things that honestly they just don't understand and don't really work for them the way that they really could. Despite that, I actually enjoyed their conference more than other people did. I did think that a lot of time was spent on things that I didn't care about, but at the same time I recognize that other people do, and so that's fine. I think that Anthem looks amazing, and all the hate towards Anthem I don't really completely understand, because it is literally the Iron Man game I've always wanted, plus Destiny, plus BioWare and everything that they bring to the table. It's an incredible idea, an incredible, I'm sure, experience, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that, and I cannot wait to squad up with friends, go out, hunt these monsters, and just literally be a bunch of different Iron Mans. Like, that sounds fantastic to me. And the fact that it looks as beautiful as it does, that it's coming to different platforms, that they're avoiding different things that they've done in the past, like loot boxes and other forms of monetization that have occurred, that makes me excited, and that makes me think that this is going to be something that's really awesome. So Anthem is definitely the thing I'm looking forward to most from EA. An honorable mention for EA would be Battlefront 2. I didn't pick it up because of a lot of the controversy that was going on, but now that they've reworked it a little bit and they've announced some of the Clone Wars stuff that's coming, personally, I'm a big fan of the prequel stuff. I know that's like a horrible opinion, and people will probably blaze fire explosion because of it, but I grew up with it, so I love it in a way that other people maybe don't. And because of that, I got really excited when I saw different things that were coming, like General Grievous and stuff like that. And so I'm probably going to be picking up this game. I'm going to wait probably until there's a sale or until I can find a version that has all the DLC, that kind of thing. Pick it up, jump in. Why not? It's a fully featured game, Star Wars. It's gorgeous. It has a lot of things going for it, and it looks like they're going to be supporting it for the at least foreseeable future. So for EA, my top pick is Anthem. Honorable mention, Battlefront 2. Moving on to Microsoft. Now, I'm going to choose something that's a little bit different here just because I'm not a big Microsoft guy. I've never really played a Halo game. I've never really played a Gears game, and it's not because I haven't had the chance. They just never really grabbed me in a way that other games have. And it's because I've personally never owned a Microsoft system. So because of that, I think that I tended towards the things that kind of fit more into the third-party stuff, and that includes my pick for the Microsoft conference, Dying Light 2. If you never played Dying Light, you missed out. That game does so much more for the open world genre, for the survival genre, than you would expect, especially if you've never played it. It may look like a generic game, but it plays incredibly well. The idea of putting together different weapons is awesome. The day-night cycle is incredible, and it actually fills you with a legitimate sense of dread that you cannot get in any other kind of open world game. And it plays great. Like, the controls are awesome. Like, you may have something like, I don't know, State of Decay or something like that that might be similar in the fact that it's an open world and you're kind of like dealing with this threat, but it doesn't have that same level of parkour, that same level of gunplay that goes on in Dying Light. And so because of that, I am super stoked for the second game. I cannot wait to see what they bring to the table, what they put into the story, what they can do with that world, and what they can use to make it more interesting than it was even the first time around. I put a ton of hours into Dying Light, and I cannot wait for Dying Light 2. My honorable mention for Microsoft would be The Division 2. I think that The Division was an incredibly cool idea, and it just wasn't fully realized, which I played briefly, but I didn't really put as much time time into it as I had initially thought I was going to. So the Division 2 looks like they're going on forward with their feet on the ground. Instead of stumbling as soon as they get out the gate, it looks like they're going to hit the ground running and they're going to be doing some incredible stuff with it. I love the setting of DC. I don't think that it's generic, and I think that it's a really cool idea. And I cannot wait to get my friends to go online and to have an awesome time playing the Division 2 and seeing what new features and things they've put into there and just really exploring that world, especially since I wasn't able to get into the first one as much as I had liked. So for Microsoft, my pick, Dying Light 2, honorable mention, the Division 2. I've just realized that I'm probably doing this backwards. I should probably say the honorable mention before the main thing, but whatever, I'm just sticking with this from now on. Moving on to Bethesda. Now, I love Bethesda as a developer, and I love the things that they do, and so because of that, I trust them with this pick, Fallout 76. A lot of people were disappointed by this game because they want a mainline Fallout, but to them I say, give Bethesda a chance. They recognize that you're worried about the things that may go on. And so because of that, they're taking steps to ensure that this is a genuine Fallout experience while also being something completely new. You still have those other experiences. You still have all those fond memories playing Fallout. And you know what? I'm sure they're going to give you another Fallout game just like that in the future. But for now, see what you can get out of this multiplayer game. And maybe it's just because I'm in this phase now where I want to squad up. I want to be in these experiences with friends, going into these worlds and exploring them together. And so because of that, Fallout 76 really appeals to me. It looks gorgeous, more beautiful than any other Fallout game before. It has a really interesting setting in West Virginia, a setting that maybe people don't usually expect from a video game, and it's all online, which means that you are constantly going to be working with or against other people. And I think that dynamic is super interesting, and I know that we see that in different games, but in Fallout, especially interesting because of the amazing world that's already there. So they've made a Fallout world. It's just the way that you interact with it that's slightly different. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that, and I cannot wait to see how that comes out. My honorable mention for Bethesda would be Starfield. I know we didn't get a whole lot of information on it, but just the idea of a Bethesda sci-fi game sounds fantastic to me. They've done fantasy, they've done a little bit of like alternate history stuff with Fallout, so I cannot wait to see what they do with Starfield and what direction they go with it. Moving on to Square Enix. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say about Square Enix. I do want to say that I'm really looking forward to my pick, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is going to be something that I think is going to be a lot more interesting than people are giving it credit for. It looks legit, it has beautiful graphics. I love Lara Croft and what they've done with the most recent games, so I cannot wait for this one. My honorable mention would be Octopath Traveler, just because it's on the Switch. I love my Nintendo Switch, and so because of that exclusive, I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm not a big JRPG guy, but I do make time for them when I can, and I do take my time to play through them. Right now I'm playing through Battle Chasers Night War, which is incredible, and it's just the perfect palette setter for Octopath Traveler when it comes out a little bit later this summer. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider, my pick. Honorable mention, Octopath Travelers for Square Enix. Moving on to Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft, I love as a company, and I try to play as many of their games as I possibly can because they do it right. They love gamers and they love those experiences. And you know what? I think that speaks to them as a company and to their games in a way that people just don't give them enough credit for. And that leads into my pick here, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They're basically at this point making this their Witcher, their RPG series. And I love that. I love that they're finally taking that step with Assassin's Creed because I think that's what it needed. I think that's what it was missing. It was great at first as a novelty, but after they got into a lot of the Animus stuff, after they got into the fact that like these worlds basically were just cookie cutter, they needed some more elements that were going to make these distinct. And with Origins, they started that. And with Odyssey, it looks like it's going to be the full realization of that idea. Being able to choose your own protagonist, being able to outfit your own character, make decisions that are going to form the way that your story goes, the way that your world works. That sounds fantastic. And the fact that it's set in ancient Greece, this incredible setting that I don't think people are going to fully appreciate until we're there because it is something that's so different and so unique from everything else that they've done, is incredible. I cannot wait to see what they do with the ancient Greeks. And it looks like they're even adding some mythological elements, which I absolutely love because I'm a huge fan of Greek mythology. So I can't wait to see how they handle that, how that works out in the game. If it's a little, I don't know, ham-fisted, a little goofy, I'm okay with that. I'm trusting them that they'll be better at it than you might expect a subpar developer to be. So I'm looking forward to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. My honorable mention would be actually a game that's already out, For Honor. And the reason being is because I was very interested in For Honor, and I didn't really want to jump in when it came out just because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to make that $60 commitment. But now It's cheaper. It's got a vibrant community. They're adding a lot of new stuff, and they're reformatting it in a way that makes it perfect for newcomers. So I, in fact, just went out and bought my copy of For Honor for $15, I think. And now I'm going to be able to jump into a wonderful community that's been able to tweak the way that things work. I know it's going to be a slog at first because everyone else knows what they're doing and I don't, but I like that kind of stuff. I like being able to put in the time and get better at something as I go along, and I cannot wait to see what they bring to that. It's such a unique game, one that I don't know if they necessarily nailed out the gate, but one that they've definitely honed as they've gone forward, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what I can experience there, and that's why it's my honorable mention. So for Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is my number one, honorable mention to For Honor. Moving on to my two favorite conferences, Sony and Nintendo, starting with Sony. This conference was interesting. They basically told us what they were going to do going in. They had a couple of little tinier surprises, but other than that, not a whole lot. But the things that they did show were absolutely fantastic. Showstoppers, to be sure. And the fact that they took this time, that they let us know ahead of time, I think actually worked in its favor. And so because of that, my number one pick is Spider-Man. Now, this isn't going to be a divisive one because each of the games that they showed, that they showcased, could have been wonderful picks. But the reason I choose Spider-Man is because of multiple things. One, it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man games. Even the lower level games that we've gotten in the past, I would go and buy just because I love that character. I love those worlds that he inhabits, and I love the way that he controls. And so because of that, I am so looking forward to this game because it's a AAA version of those games, an original story, and it's by one of my favorite developers, Insomniac, if not my favorite developer. I've played almost every single one of Insomniac's games, and it's because they just get this kind of stuff. They get the humorous elements, they get the variety of gameplay. They get the idea of establishing these strong worlds, making them fun to control. And the fact that they are experts at making a unique way of how a character plays really is what is going to make, I think, Spider-Man stand out above all the other Spider-Man games that have occurred before. Plus, it's got a budget out the wazoo, and I just cannot wait to see how this one turns out. The showcase for it was fantastic, absolutely perfect. A trailer that I think exceeded even what they showed with Last of Us. And that's maybe coming from a fanboy's perspective, but it is something that I think is just going to be absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait. My honorable mention, and this one was tough, man. I love me some Sucker Punch. I love me some Naughty Dog, but my honorable mention has to go to Death Stranding. Now, with Last of Us, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. It's so violent, though, and I think part of that was a little bit off-putting. I'm sure I'm going to play it, and I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful experience, but something about it is just a little bit more intense than what I would have liked. Ghost of Tsushima looks great. I just don't feel like I've seen enough of it. I love the ancient Japan setting. That's kind of something I've always wanted Assassin's Creed to do, and so I'm glad that they're doing it. I love Sucker Punch open world games, so I think that they'll do great with that, but I think I just need to see more of it. Death Stranding stands out because, well, on the internet, you guys know this. You know the things that have gone on with Death Stranding and this bizarre creation that it's occurring. And I started laughing out loud when it was like, oh, you're a delivery boy, because that was the last thing that I would have ever imagined this game being. And of course, there's more to it than that. But this like bizarre, big budget game with all these interesting actors that have done unique things, being in it together, working together, and this bizarre concept, this crazy world, and everything else that's going on, these secrets, this confusing stuff that's happening, the way that Hideo Kojima has full reign over this, all of these elements are going to play into this game being, if not fantastic, because I don't know how it controls. I don't even know if the gameplay is super interesting or if you're just literally sneaking around avoiding these invisible beasts the entire time. Like, we haven't seen much else besides that, so who knows what other elements are in play here. But just the fact that this is such a unique experience, that I'm going to be able to be in this crazy world, this effed up world, I cannot wait for it. And so because of that, it's my honorable mention over Last of Us and over Ghost of Tsushima, as well as Resident Evil and some of the other things that Sony showed at the press conference. So my pick, Spider-Man. My honorable mention, Death Stranding. Moving on to Nintendo. My number one pick has got to be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They fulfilled my dreams with this game. Now, I am a Nintendo guy through and through. They are by far my number one video game company. And so because of that, Super Smash Bros. Has always been special to me. And this game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is essentially a love letter to all things Nintendo. And so because of that, this is my perfect game. It has everything that's gone on before, as well as adding in smaller, newer elements. And some people might have been upset that there wasn't more of like the new stuff or like a single player story, but that's not what I play Smash for. I play Smash for that same same good gameplay that I've had every single time, having this nostalgic factor of all these different characters from different games that I've played, that I've invested so many hours of my life into, and I get that with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and that's exactly what I want. You know what? The fact that we're in the age that we're in with the Nintendo Switch means that I can take this on the go. I can play this anywhere I want. Don't forget about that. 2, the fact that Nintendo's getting into DLC means that we could see a whole lot more characters after this as they slowly figure it out. And 3, this is on a modern day console. It's gonna look absolutely gorgeous. And it already does, just from what I've seen. And the fact that they're going into like new designs, seeing the way that they can reformat some of the characters and doing some of the more nuanced things that they're doing, I cannot wait to play this game, to get my hands on it, and to see what exactly is different and how they've changed it. Now, my honorable mention has got to be Fire Emblem. I'm going to pick this game up day one. I love the Fire Emblem series, and I've played almost every single one. And so because of that, this one for the Switch is going to scratch that itch that I haven't had since the last Fire Emblem game. And so because of that, it's got to be my honorable mention. There were some other interesting stuff that was shown. I feel like they could have shown a little bit more personally, but at the same time, Nintendo likes to do their own thing. We're gonna get directs probably in the next couple months that show us more stuff, so there's no rush. Emphasizing Super Smash Bros. I think was the right move, and showing off some of the more interesting things like Fire Emblem. Super Mario Party is pretty cool. I'm gonna look forward to playing that. I really hope that they're able to right the wrongs of Mario Party. I always enjoy them just for the family element that goes on with it, but I recognize that a typical gamer does not enjoy those games. But because of that, Fire Emblem, like I said, is my honorable mention. Super Smash Bros. My pick for Nintendo. So to recap just briefly, for my JR Reacts, for EA, my pick is Anthem. For Microsoft, Dying Light 2. Bethesda, Fallout 76. Square Enix, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Sony, Spider-Man, and Nintendo Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Thanks for listening. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed my content. If you want, you can subscribe. I would appreciate that. I'm going to try and update this at least weekly for now. I'm working on my own. I have my own paying job, so this is a thing on the side, but I'm going to do my best to give you my thoughts, my impressions, and to keep you updated on the things that are going on in gaming. Again, thanks for listening.